And we're live. Welcome to the latest episode of Damage Per Podcast. I am your host, Jesse Bartell, and joining me today is Dommy Mommy himself, Mitch Reeves.
A guy brings up Lady D one time, and you never let me forget it. That's
I'll
fine.
never let you. You won't forget it. The internet won't forget it. That was a really special time when that Resident Evil game was
I,
coming out, and
for the
everyone.
record, I was referring to her daughters, one of whom looks like Amanda Seyfried. So,
Okay, all right. No, no, no problem. No problem. She's the other. She's just too tall.
vampire Amanda Seyfried,
Vampire. You
and
can
that's
always
my sexual orientation.
that's my gender. If you were to anytime a new Resident Evil game comes out, you can always expect the fan base to just be kind of weirdly horny about it. So
Yes, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
so it's just
That one was a lot, though, dude. You
it
got
was
Lady
a
D,
yeah,
you got Santa Claus, giant werewolf man. Like, there's a lot
yeah,
going on in that game.
a lot of werewolf man.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's true. But Capcom's still putting out games, unlike the publisher we're talking about today, which is Konami.
Konami's on the way back, dude. That new Contra came out. That's really good. There's they just dropped a shmup that's got like supposed to be really good.
Oh yeah, they stopped making pachinko machines and they're making video
Yeah,
games.
like they're sort of back, or at least like thinking about coming back.
Yeah, well they're doing the thing also too where they just take their old properties and they just like resell it to you again.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I'm really excited to get that Castlevania DS collection.
Oh hell yeah, yeah,
Even
me
though I
too.
know that Konami's just doing what Konami do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But that's
But like that
yep.
shmup, I think it's called like Signy or something like that, and it dropped it like
What are you Six Sigma? What are you talking about? Konami
you haven't
games.
seen this game Signy the shmup, the new shmup they put out. Shoot
Shmup.
'em up.
What do you say
You
shmup?
don't know
What
what a
does
shoot 'em
that
up is?
mean?
Shoot 'em up. Like
I feel
a
like a boomer right now the way you're
oh my
talking to
god,
me.
like you know what a bullet hell shooter is? Come
Oh,
on,
bullet. I
man.
love a good bullet hell.
Well,
Let's
that's a
see.
shmup. Shoot 'em up. Shmup.
Okay, got
Wait, how do I
um,
know this and you don't?
I don't know, buddy. What? Wait, what's the game called again? Sorry. Do you know? We don't know.
CYGNI Signy? I
C
think I'm
Y
saying it right.
G N I. It sounds like a
It looks really fucking dope. I haven't
prescription.
played it yet.
Oh, here we go. Interesting. Signy, yeah.
Yeah.
What in the hell is this?
You should watch the trailer because like the boss battles look fucking amazing.
Oh man, this looks good. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like some Rezo gun
Yes.
and some, Space Invaders
It's
kind of.
like what is it? Like what doesn't matter. I'm gonna sound like a moron now because I can't think of it.
It's on the Switch.
It
Who's
is, yeah, it's on everything. And it's only
it?
like $40 and it's got released physically too.
What?
Hmm.
Bro, I feel like I was like I have my game on the release pulse and I missed this. What the hell? Well, I gotta look into this. All right, I'm putting this in
Yep.
I'm opening a tab here to look at this later. What were we talking about?
Well, Konami, like I said, they did
Welcome.
that, and then
Yeah.
they did that Contra. They did like that 2D or a run and gun Contra that I'm still waiting for limited run to send me my physical copy of so I can play.
Oh, oh, yeah, they do that. They do that. They just I've
Hmm.
ordered like 10 things from Limited Run, but I don't know when I'll see them.
Yeah, I
So
have at least four on the way.
I don't know. People give them crap so much about like their existence, but I don't know. I feel like they're always like pretty like accurate about like, yeah, this is you're not gonna get this till next
Well,
year.
yeah. Well, you know what? I'll take this over how they used to do shit. Where if you weren't a bot who your best bet was refreshing a page 10 million times in a row, just hoping you got to buy something. Like at least they do pre-orders now, and then they make the shit. Usually they made this many, and if you get one, great. But the bots are probably going to get them, so don't even try. So I mean,
Right.
this is better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have a problem with it exactly. I don't.
I don't either. I
I
mean,
don't. I don't. I don't. People like. I mean, there's some mad people online about Limited Run and
hmm.
like whole YouTube video rabbit holes you can go down.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, but I don't know. I think it's fun. Like I'm gonna get Turok 3 on the Switch on a cartridge at some point this
Yep.
fall, and I'm really excited about
And
that.
that's dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Like I could download the digital copy now through the eShop or through
Sure.
whatever, but I want that cartridge, baby.
Yep.
Um,
I
welcome
really
to.
like that. Sorry, you keep
Go
trying to
ahead. No, wait,
start
go
the
ahead.
podcast,
This
and
is
I
the
keep it. This
ADHD
is how
podcast.
it goes. Every time you go to talk and start the actual podcast, you say something. I'm like, oh, it's like, sorry, I don't know why you keep asking me to come on here. I was just gonna say I really enjoyed that write up that you did about buying physical games again.
Ah, thank you, buddy. Yeah, that was fun to write up, and I do think, like looking at, I've been around a while now, and like watching things come and go, and I definitely am happy I kept like my PS3 games, my entire library.
Hmm.
I still have that. Um, and yeah, I think with the new consoles, it's been kind of a bummer, at least with the Sony PlayStation, Xbox, that like, they still take up a ton of space, and if you want more space, you got to buy more space, and um,
Yeah.
it's kind of a bummer. But it is worth having the disc, and because I think the Spec Ops: The Line really spooked me most of all.
Yep.
I think that's what really did me in, because
Our
I was
fault.
like, yeah. Like that, like Spec Ops: The Line disappearing like a couple of weeks after we talked about it, or however long it was,
Yeah.
really, like, I was like, oh my God, like there was a chance I could never have played that game again if we didn't do this podcast.
Yeah.
So like that's scary to me, and a bummer. And I think if the current console is like, uh I think the Switch for me is one that I have a lot of fun with and I've kind of invested more time into. And I think too it's because like I do love the cartridge situation. I think cartridges are just so magical, and they,
Absolutely. Yeah.
like the only thing that's taking up space. Like some games require some space to be down, like things to be downloaded, but pretty much plug and play kind of thing.
Right.
And a lot of the games that I like aren't games that necessarily require the horsepower of, say, it's the Series X, right? Like, I don't
Right.
need that. And if I want to play those games, I'll just play, I'll get them and I'll play them on there, whatever. But like the majority of like a lot of great indie games and like RPGs and
Hmm.
things that just don't require, a ton of horsepower to run, it's great. And the Switch is kind of like, I don't know, it's a magical little system. It's like they've been out a really long time, and yet it still holds its own, with in terms of
Hmm.
like enjoyability. Um, so yeah, I'm really.
Mine doesn't. Mine's broken. So
Oh,
that's
Mitch broke his.
no.
Mitch
I
broke.
didn't do anything to it.
Oh,
It's just
it just died.
it did.
Oh
I had
man,
I had finished Super Mario Wonder, and I always play it. Did I talk about this in the last one? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Okay. So I always play it handheld unless me and the kids are playing like Smash or Mario Kart, which is about the
Uh-huh.
only things, that we would play together on there. And so we play that on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I played Super Mario Wonder on the TV because I just wanted to play it on a bigger screen, and I love that game so much. And then I had left the Switch sitting in the dock, and then I have this game called Infernax that I've had for a while, and it's like a 8-bit, almost 16-bit pseudo Castlevania, like original, like Castlevania 4 kind of
Mm-hmm.
game. It's hyper violent. The cutscenes are great. They're like these like 16-bit cutscenes, but they're
Oh yeah,
super bloody and
this
gory and
looks good.
stuff. And
This looks good.
yeah, and I heard it was only like maybe 5, 6 hours, and I was like, I'm gonna play that shit. And so I took the Switch off the dock, and it wouldn't turn on, and I was like, well, that's weird. And so I started messing with it and then plugged it into different. I've always used the official dock, official charge cable, all that stuff wouldn't come
Mm-hmm.
on. Fast forward probably a month, and I just, for whatever reason, I picked it up and I pressed the power button, and it comes on, and it shows me the dead battery symbol, and then goes right back off. And I was like, oh my
Nice.
god. So I plugged it in and I let it charge, and I let it charge for a few hours, and I tried to turn it on, won't do anything.
Hmm.
And so I bought a new battery
Yeah, I was
because I
gonna
thought, well,
say.
it's either the charge port or the battery, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, put the new battery in. I have no idea how to do these things. A lot of YouTube, a lot of trial and error. Got it in. Still won't work. And so I did some more digging, and apparently there's some issue with something on the motherboard, some chip or something on the motherboard that unless you're very comfortable with soldering and this, that, and the third, you shouldn't fuck with on your own. So
Mm-hmm.
I no longer have a Switch.
Bummer.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's
I
okay,
have
man.
lots of games that I've not played yet. So
Well, well, good. I mean, probably good news. Switch 2 is probably coming out early
that's what I'm
next
that's where
next
I'm
year.
at. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
do I buy the because mine's a launch Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So do I buy an OLED or do I
Mm-hmm.
wait for a two? Because Nintendo's like, how long are they going to wait to announce that fucker? When's it actually going to come out? And I'm like, is it going to be backwards compatible? Like, I don't know. I,
Right.
I would think, but it's Nintendo, so who the fuck knows? I mean, so
We're going
it's
back
like,
to
what the fuck?
discs. No.
Yeah, like what do I do? Right? It's like GameCube too. You thought it was the Switch?
Yeah,
No,
we got
no.
tiny discs again. Yeah.
like, like, so
Well,
I don't know. I don't know
all
what to do
the
yet.
all the online chatter seems to suggest that we're gonna get an announcement later this month, and there's been unverified but multiple unverified reports that it's gonna be backwards compatible.
I
So
hope so. That's my favorite thing in the world. That's why I like my Xbox so much.
yeah, I think it would be. I think I think people would just be like in an uproar about it now. Like if you couldn't,
Oh
if
yeah, but I
if it
mean,
wouldn't be backwards compatible.
sure, but Nintendo's like Sony. People can get as mad as
Yeah,
they want to. They don't fucking care
yeah, it's true. Yeah, we'll put
because
out.
people are still gonna buy it.
That's
Like
right. We'll
so,
put out $700 hardware you can't put a disc into.
uh, yeah. Well, I don't want to get into that. Whew.
Yeah, that PS5 Pro thing was the dumbest thing I've seen. But
That's hilarious.
I mean, listen, we don't have to buy it. Like it's really not the issue.
No, no, I know.
But I think it's like one of those things that comes off as very consumer hostile. Like it's just like this is clearly a tech demo. This is for investors to see that they're AI forward, that and
Yeah.
that they're going to try to um
Well,
and well their projections too. Like if they have a certain amount of projections that's pretty low on how many units they're going to sell, it's still a success for them and they're going to get their whales that will buy it and the collectors that will buy it and hopefully, recomp whatever their costs.
yeah, the thing that really drove home for me that fact was the guy they got to do the presentation.
Mark Cerny.
it's not it wasn't like Jason Bateman from Dodgeball with like fucking pyro going off behind him and like smoke machines and shit like and he was using all like Riz and the current like it
Yeah.
would be Ohio if you didn't buy this. It
Uh-huh.
was just it was just this guy
Yep.
who was standing there talking to a camera about tech specs. And I was like, boy, this is not for everybody. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Mark Cerny coming out is yeah, definitely like a professional move because he's like one of the architects with Sony. I think he worked on the PS3 or something, like helped design that.
mm,
Oh yeah, look here. He also worked on the Vita and for the PS5. So,
yeah.
I mean, he's like the yeah, they pulled like an Apple move basically. I
Yes.
mean, not
Right.
even not even maybe even less so. Like this guy's an actual like designer programmer nerd whereas like
Well, it's like I don't know if you ever watched the because we're obviously getting back into Gears. If you got the special edition for Gears One, that
uh-huh.
came with that DVD,
Right.
and Cliffy B was like borrowing that dude's Lamborghini and shit to go to bars,
Yeah.
and then leaving the bar to come back to work on Gears in the middle of the night. This is like instead of Cliffy B, if that other guy who actually owned the Lambo was talking about
That's true.
Gears.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. They did it. They got Mr. Whitebread to come out, and
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it was silly. It's silly. I think the internet thinks it's all silly, and I don't think they particularly care. Like, I don't think they're gonna walk away from this and
No,
being like, "Oh, next time we should." blah, 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 blah." I think really
right.
like they're really attracting a very like it's like when the Vision Pro came out. It's like they're looking to attract a certain audience, like a certain buyer, and they will get that buyer.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I don't think it's for, and also too, like I saw this really dumb, like dumb boy math, dumb girl math
Hmm.
situation where they're like, well, it's considered an upgrade, so you can trade in your old PS5 and only have to pay like $350 for the new one. But I'm like, in my head, I'm
Hmm.
like, well, you're still paying the full price. You just
Yes.
are
Yeah.
paying for it. Like, you guys, you had to pay unless you were given that PS5. Like if somebody gave
Exactly.
that to you, that's a pretty good situation. Like if somebody gave you a PS5, you can upgrade it for like $350 or something like that. But
Right.
like, you know, if you're upgrading, you still are paying the full price, just not.
Yeah. You already bought the PS5, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's sort of just like that's the stupidest thing. I feel forget what outlet put that up, but I was like, are you guys like, do you know how to math right? Like, do you know
Yeah.
how money
Oh, I
works?
love clown math. Clown math's my favorite. And there was a video I watched, and they were talking about like how the PS4 versus the PS4 Pro was, and it was like
Hmm.
they were like, well, the PS4 Pro only accounted for 14% of the PS4 sales, which sounds like almost nothing until you factor in how many PS4s were sold. And it was like, holy shit, like that's still a lot of fucking PS4 Pros got
Yeah,
sold.
that's quite a bit. And also like the PS4 kind of had, I mean, first of all, it was less expensive than the PS5 Pro, but
Hmm.
it also served a purpose because at that time like 4K TVs were coming out. And so
Yes.
this is a way to be like,
Yes.
now you can hook up to your new fancy 4K TV. But
Right.
it also wasn't 700 or I mean close to a grand if you want the disc drive and the stand. But like,
Right.
like
Oh, that pisses me off too.
imagine.
Obviously, the disc drive pisses me off, but you can't give me the stand, bro. Like, how much does that shit cost to 3D print? You can't put that in there. Get the fuck out of here.
It's so crazy, man. It's so crazy, and you're lucky if there's like a controller in that box. I mean, it's just like,
Yeah, and they also the surprise markup for regular controllers, $50 more out of
yeah,
fucking nowhere. Like what? They really, man, Concord must have hit them hard in the pocketbook.
I think, yeah. I mean, they're gonna write that off and hopefully make back their costs, but I mean, like, yeah, I think a lot of stuff is not working out right now for anyone. So,
Yeah.
um, what are we? Video games.
You were welcoming us to the podcast, and I
This is
kept cutting
welcome
you.
to podcast about Castlevania Lords of Shadow. Duh. We'll get there at some point. Yeah, we are revisiting the Lords of Shadow series or duology. Well, no, trilogy really, if you
Isn't there a
factor in,
DS one or something?
yeah, Mirror of Fate,
Yeah.
which I have
Yes.
downloaded copy of on my Series X.
Nice.
I heard that's actually the best one. So,
Oh.
yeah, because it's like a side scroll Castlevania situation,
Hmm.
like an old school, and it's a little less, from what I understand, a little less like it's just more fixated on the combat than say an older Castlevania game would be. So
Okay.
it kind of falls in line with the Lords of Shadow like vibe where it's a little more combat oriented.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, it's supposed to be pretty good. But we're not going to worry about that one for a while. Um but and also so okay, we'll get into Lords of Shadow. But also I heard so like Lords of Shadows 2 story is such nonsense that like at
Yes.
anything happening at any given time, you're just like, I have zero idea who these people are, what's going on. Like I
Right.
remember I remember Patrick Stewart from the first game.
Hmm.
All that, like I know all this stuff. But there's all these other things about the Mirror of Fate and all that. And the basically like Konami just expected everybody to play the DS or the 3DS game or whatever.
Oh.
Because all that story stuff is like all the lore is in that game and they just they just were
Well,
just like, no, you're not gonna get it in this one.
I mean, come on now. There was a very long voiceover at the beginning that used the word fate like 19,000 times. So you didn't get it from that. I don't know what to tell you, man.
I don't know what to say.
I knew
Yeah,
what was going on the entire time.
if you
I
can
was locked
follow,
in.
you can follow from that.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
fate of the fated ones, fated, and then fate had another idea when fate stepped in for fate. And I was just like, what the fuck?
and here's Dracula's old hot dead wife. You gotta drink her blood to stay alive. Um, yeah, what a game, man. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about that today. It's a video game.
Hmm.
Um, but we can talk first about video games we've been playing. I'll go first because it's actually kind of topical. So I've played since the last time we spoke. I've played a lot of things, I think, but I want to talk about specific few things. but I started playing that game Stray, which I really like.
Yeah,
It's
that
a
was a
good
great
game.
game.
It's a good game.
It's a very good game.
And I bring it up because how do you spell that? How do you say
Hmm
it? Say it for me.
Anna Purina. I think you said it right.
Annapurna. It
Annapurna. That's it.
Anna,
Purina's is a cat food. Annapurna Interactive. Jesus
Annapurna
Christ.
Interactive, which is like the indie game development side of Annapurna Games. Everybody walked out
Mm,
today. So
what?
yeah, they're done. It's over. So
Well, that
apparently
sucks.
I know. So there was a big I saw it. So Jason Schreier, who wrote that book about Blizzard,
Yes.
he dropped he got a hot scoop today. He dropped it. And
Oh, that sucks. I didn't know that.
yeah, so it's complicated because also Annapurna is responsible for the like distribution or production of like Remedy stuff. So like
Hmm
Alan Wake and Control and whatever. I don't know. It's some sort of follow the money thing I can't really figure out. But that is not affected at all. Like the Remedy stuff's not affected. But basically the indie side, the people who gave us like Flower and Journey and like Edith Finch and all that stuff, and most recently like Stray and trying to think of one of their
Didn't they
other
do? Didn't they do Gree? They did. I know they did. What Remains of Edith Finch, and that's one of my
Yep,
favorite fucking games of all time.
great game.
Damn.
So yeah, so they all walked out because they were in the middle of a contractual negotiation with the owner, and I guess it fell through, and they walked
Yeah,
away. So
Gora Gora, 12
I'm
minutes. Damn.
yeah,
Sorry, I'm
no,
just.
you're good. I'm sure they'll be picked up by somebody else, but they'll have a different name.
Yeah. Oh,
They'll
that
probably get
sucks.
they'll get they'll get picked up by Activision. They'll be making Call of Duty.
Yeah, they'll be
Uh,
picked up by Microsoft and then cut.
yeah, then they'll be
Yeah.
thrown in the dumpster. The corpse of Tango GameWorks and no, although Tango GameWorks is they got picked up by somebody else
Yeah, I
apparently.
saw that too. Yeah.
So that's good. Um so yeah, so anyway, Stray's pretty fun. I think
Yeah.
Stray has like that really cool so if you don't know what Stray is, it's a game where you are a kitty cat, you're a little Kiki, and you you walk around during the there's been some sort of calamity. There's been some sort of thing where people are no longer, and there are robots who have they're kind of just sitting around with nothing to do almost because they've kind of I don't know they don't have much to do anymore. And you play as this cat, and you just kind of go around and you do these quests in this like post-apocalyptic city. I mean, some people say it's kind of cyberpunky. I guess it's a little cyberpunky. Um, and you do like there's like some light puzzles and exploration, and it's very charming. It kind of reminds me of like a good Nintendo game where you're like there's like a lot of environmental storytelling. You're kind of just you're just kind of exploring to explore, and it's very nice. I like that. And then there's like parts where like you're kind of break off from like the exploring, and you're kind of in a more like linear like part of the game where you have to get to a specific objective until you're back. But um yeah, I'm really liking that. I know it's very short. I'll probably beat it the next time I sit down and play through it or play some more of it. um but I like that video game. It's good. It's people were calling it like a glorified tech demo, but I don't know. I think it's more than that. I think it's got character, right?
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. Yeah, I think it's great. I think I think maybe a little bit of that comes from it. It was one of those things that Sony, I think, showed at one of the earlier kind of showcases for the PS5
Oh, right.
because I think it was a PS5, or originally it was only on PS5, and then later it came out for other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's maybe where a little bit of that comes from, but it's very much a it's got a lot of character and heart,
Mm-hmm.
and it's I mean and outside of that, the story stuff, it's actually fun to play, and the puzzles are really well done, and
Mm-hmm.
it controls good.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah, it's way more than just a tech demo.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it's worth the time. I picked it up, I saw it, I went into a random ass GameStop, and it was
Hmm
$30 I think for the disc, and it came with like a little
hmm
I don't know, it had like something in it, like
Yeah,
stickers or
yeah, I bought
postcards.
the
Yeah.
I didn't buy the digital. Obviously, I waited for the physical on PS5. But yeah, it comes with like some little bonus stuff, which is always appreciated.
Yeah.
I'll never use them, but it's cool that they're in the case.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I got a bunch of that with, I mean, they're kind of doing that more and more these days, which I think is a good move.
Absolutely.
Just to kind of be like, hey, like, thanks for buying a physical copy. So I think that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I got the Late Night with the Devil steelbook in yesterday actually, and
Ooh,
I had no idea, but it has like bonus goodies in it too, and I did not know
nice.
it was coming. Yeah,
I
it's a
should
pretty
go.
nice package.
Maybe I'll watch that this weekend. I should watch that.
That's
Um,
very good.
yeah. The other thing I've been playing a lot of recently, is I'm finally playing. I've never played it before. It's one of the few of the series I have not played. I think one of two.
Mhm.
But it is Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
Mm,
I'm playing the HD remaster for the Switch. Um, I can see why it was kind of like forgotten a little bit
yeah,
because it kind of came out after Twilight Princess, and then it was sort of in that weird late Wii phase, and then like Wii U came out, whatever. And like I'm playing it on the Switch, and it's pretty cool because they decided to adapt you could do motion controls if you want, which no thank you.
yes.
But
Mm-mm.
they've adapted the motion controls to like if you flick the right stick, you can like flick it in a direction and your sword will slice in that direction. So
Yeah,
it's kind of weird. Like it takes a little bit to get used to because you're just like, can I just hit a button just to, to slash my sword?
right.
Um and so but like the game the way the game's designed is for like specific ways in which to slice your sword, like how enemies like protect themselves and things. So like if they just made it like press the A button, then it would just kind of um ruin the game. Although using the analog way to do the motion stuff kind of does break the game anyway. It makes it like it seems like it makes it just a lot easier than it should be. Um
Mm,
I really like it. I've put like close to 30. I'm very near the end. I put like 30 hours into it. I really liked it. It is not it won't stand out to me as like a one of those like standout Zelda games, but I've really enjoyed the
yeah,
experience. Like it kind of gives you that before the right before Breath of the Wild and things got crazy. They're just like, it's very paint by numbers, Zelda adventure where you get the three things and then you have to go get three more things and then you have to go
yeah.
three things and then you fight Ganon. Like that's like, sort of it. But it's cool. Like I can see a lot too where they started um where they took influence to like do Breath of the Wild. Like there's a stamina meter kind of thing when you run.
Mm,
Shields will break, over time. Um,
yeah,
just exploring like you don't it's not like you're in the sky, like there's Skyloft, which is like this island in the sky, and you can fly your bird around this like sky area and then like kind of jump into different parts in the world, but like sort of that more open than say something like Twilight Princess before it, where it was like, here's this hub world and you can go to these other places. Like I could see where they were getting those, like starting to, I don't know, put those things together for like what Breath of the Wild would become. So it's kind of
mm,
interesting seeing it that way. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting little Zelda game. But and I'll be happy to finally have played it because it's one that was just sort of one I haven't played. The other one I haven't played is Tears of the Kingdom.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
so I'll get
I,
around to that.
I have
Yeah.
such a weird kind of relationship with that series, in that I think I've played or I've tried almost all of them. Well, I
Uh-huh.
can't say that because I've never been a big handheld person.
Mm-hmm.
But for as far as console releases, I've at least tried, I would say probably 80% of the console releases. And the only ones that I could say that I really liked are the original.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my favorite is Wind Waker,
Hell yeah.
and Link to the Past is probably my
Mm-hmm.
second favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of that, I've not been able to get into them.
That's okay. I mean, it's definitely I mean, I think especially have you tried Breath of the Wild or that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Because
Many times.
I was gonna say like maybe that one would be for you, but maybe not.
No, it's
No,
not. No, I did not like that game.
that's interesting.
I wanted to. I tried to.
Mm-hmm. It was
Just
just
couldn't
like,
do it.
was it just like the format of it, or like,
It's I don't I have no problem with the open worldness and the hey, here's where you start, just go
uh-huh,
aspect. And I liked the whole like I forgot what they called them, but like the dungeons per se were those giant animals.
the shrines, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The only one I finished was the elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got so tired of Link constantly needing something. He's hungry, he's cold, he's hot, he's tired, his sword's broken. Get the fuck out. Leave me alone, for God's sake. Like, Jesus. I just
I, d-
can't.
I don't I don't disagree with that at all. I know what you mean. Like, why you gotta be so needy? Why can't
I've
like
had girlfriends that were less high maintenance than this guy. Like I was just like, leave me alone, man. I'm going to play something else. Jesus.
It's true though. It's true. Yeah, I mean, I think like the Breath of the Wild format is not my favorite Zelda. I think it did a lot of like great things for um like games, and it was like a really quite an achievement. And
I agree 100%. It's very impressive. In especially with it being the Switch game and the Switch is supposed to be so underpowered.
right.
It's gorgeous and it's
Yeah.
amazing that game is on a little Switch cartridge.
I know.
Like,
Yeah, I cannot fathom how Switch cartridges work, dude.
no.
I need somebody to like sit me down and talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old about how those things
You're
work.
right. You're
Like
right.
discs I get. Like I totally understand how discs work.
Yes.
But the cartridges, like I know also sort of kind of understand how cartridges work, but on that level, like I don't get it. I don't know how they do that.
Mm-mm.
Um, what Zelda? Yeah, oh Zelda. With that said, I'm excited for the new one, which is coming out at the end of the month, which is where you play
It does
Zelda
look cool. Yeah.
and you get to like
And
it's
it
like
looks like a link to the past. Yeah.
yeah, and it has like that Tears of the Kingdom like make stuff thing,
Hmm.
but it's like not as like overbearing. It seems like
Yeah.
it's like very like I don't know, sandboxy. I don't know, it seems cool. I'm definitely gonna get it and check it out. That'll
Nice.
be fun. What else have I been playing? That's really it. Although I've been playing a lot of Doom. I keep going back to play Doom. But I got the they came out with like that new version of Doom. They keep putting out like these new versions of Doom. But like
Hmm.
Night Dive put out like their version of Doom finally. So it's not the what like pretty much all the Bethesda OG Doom pack-ins have been that you can play that you were able to play like on, Game Pass or whatever. Like this is like a
Right.
brand new thing they made with like even crazier, better frame rate. Like they like did a bunch of lighting stuff. Like it's really cool. And I've been playing a lot of Doom. So
Nice.
that's just been fun to play when it's sleepy time and I got my YouTube videos on in the background and I'm just like,
Yeah, for sure.
you know, just watching out for those archviles and shooting cacodemons and it's and also like it's also I don't know if you've ever used like the on the Switch the what's it called? Like the oh my God. Where like you move and the cursor also moves.
Yeah, I had to turn that shit off for Splatoon because I
The
could not.
yeah, motion gyro or something. It's very
Yeah,
weird.
some shit like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
it's
was that was the default setting for Splatoon 2,
mhm.
and I had never played Splatoon before, and I was like, I fucking hate this. Uh, until I turned that shit off, and I was like, oh, okay, now it's a video game.
Yeah,
Like now it's not a gimmick anymore. It's a video
yeah.
game. Got it.
Splatoon's good though. Talk about
Yeah, I
good.
mean, I liked it after I turned that motion control shit off.
But that's I mean I think those two are like or those two and a half are games that I've been playing a lot. Oh yeah, and Gears 4, but we're gonna talk about that some other
Yeah.
time. But how about you, Mitch? What you been playing? Do 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 do. That's the segue music.
Well, I can't really talk about most of it yet because I finished Lords of Shadow 2, obviously, and then
Electric
I went
Boogaloo.
I went straight into Gears 4.
Oh man.
Um, I mean, obviously, I play Destiny still. I mean, nobody wants to hear me talk about Destiny anymore.
Nah, you can talk
Um,
about Destiny. Also, what do you
no,
think?
no, this
What do you think about the new content announcements they put out?
Frontiers, yeah,
Hmm.
Frontiers definitely sounds like a step in the right direction. Uh, specifically, since Destiny isn't necessarily free to play, but it's free to try.
Hmm.
And I think that the barrier of entry for Destiny is so overwhelming for anyone who's trying to start it now, and it's almost too overwhelming even for veterans to explain to new players because they open up that map and they're like, "The fuck am I looking at?" And hey, bro, I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know what you're looking at either. And I've,
Hmm.
and I've done all that shit. So so like the whole, I think they call it the portal. Uh, that looks really, really good. I think that's a great kind of step forward for it. Uh, you know, uh, Announcing the episodes and then almost immediately going away from episodes was kind of like a oh shit, kind of thing because they promised so much stuff with episodes and we're only going to end up getting two of those until it changes. So, but I mean, again, they laid off how many people? It's a very
Yeah,
shitty situation. Like, listen, I'm
there's
not
only five
complaining,
people. There's five people over there right now.
right? Like, I'm not trying to sound like I'm complaining, and it's a horrible thing that happened, but for the future of Destiny, I think that the people who are still Tyson Green and the people who are still there working on the game, I think that they have definitely laid out some really good ideas and really good changes going forward. Because at this point, it's 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 a tightrope, because it's like they still want new players to come in and play the game, but at the same time, they're catering to 10-year vets who are about the only ones left at this point. So it's one of those things where it's like,
Right.
what do you do, and we'll see. But I'm gonna be playing it regardless, so I'll have more to talk about, I guess,
Just
next year.
the way business works, baby, is it's cheaper to keep existing customers than it is to bring in new ones. So
Yeah,
if they
yeah,
just if they keep if they I mean, I'm sure they're doing well with people who've been playing the game a long time and are like buying, the yearly things and this, that, and the other.
right.
So, I hope, you know, we got Danny over there making projectiles for Warlock still, so we'll see.
Yep, that's right. And other than that, I did start. I don't know. I know I haven't talked about it with you
Uh-oh.
on your show, but uh, people who have known me for a while know I have this weird, very weird, makes no sense, weird obsession with video game trucks. I
Video
don't
game
know.
video game trucks.
I
Explain.
don't know. I don't know how to explain it. So it started with the Dreamcast, and I think Best Buy had this game, 18-wheeler American Pro Trucker,
Oh, right. Okay. Yes, 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 yes. We've talked
and
about this. Yes, you played
it was
that with your
super
apartment.
cheap. And
Yeah.
my God, did we put hours into that? So
Nice.
here recently, Game Pass has just been this gold mine. And it started with this game called Space Truckers.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh my God, I can be like Lone Star from Spaceballs driving a semi in space. And I was like, sign me out day one. I got it day one. I was so excited. I started playing it and I realized very quickly that this is a game that was made by like NASA interns who
Nice.
really like video games.
Yeah.
And they did that in their spare time when they weren't working for NASA. Because for someone like myself who could never work for NASA,
Mm-hmm.
it is fucking difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It is difficult to steer that motherfucker. It's constantly they're constantly talking to you. You have to do this thing and line this up, and then you have to follow the space highway rules because there are red lights and green lights in space with routes.
That's how that works.
Yeah, and but combine that with zero gravity spacecraft uh, driving for someone who owns an Ultima, and you have yourself a recipe for disaster, my friend. It did not go well. It looks great. I love the cartoonish kind of look to it. I love the idea of it. Could not play it for shit. I was so bad at that game. And then this week, or was it last week? Doesn't matter. They added, the game like Snow Runner, Mud Runner,
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what
so
you're talking about.
expeditions.
Yeah, I almost downloaded this, so I need you to
So
tell me
yes.
how good it is.
So the other morning, I when it when I saw that it was on Game Pass, I downloaded it, and then I'll play a lot in the mornings before work because I get up pretty early, and I was like I was almost late taking my daughter to school because I was doing the tutorial mission and I turned my truck over in a mud puddle and I couldn't get out of it.
Oh
But
no.
I was determined to figure it out. And so I was in a mud puddle for about 40 minutes on my side. And I was trying to use the winch and I was trying to pull my shit out of there and this and that. This is a hyper realistic game about why you should never drive a motor vehicle in places where, you know,
There's
motor
not a
vehicles aren't intended to be driven. And so but I got out of it and I completed the first expedition and it's 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 a sim again for why, you know, you don't want to drive these things into these places, but goddamn if it isn't fun. So that's the only other thing I've really been messing with.
yeah, I was big tempted to also download that as well when I saw
Mhm.
it. I was like, this looks kind of cool. Mud
Yeah, I
looks
mean
good.
if you're
Mud looks good.
yeah, if you're into that kind of, but it's a super sim. Like it's, you know, I hit a rock and it did like 19 damage to my engine and I had to fix that shit. So
Oh no.
like it's not, you're not going to be driving off of cliffs and landing that shit and keeping on going. Like it's going to fuck your shit up. Like when you go off the smallest of ledges. Like
Yeah, it's not like Hot Pursuit where you just like
no.
smash into the cop and keep driving.
No, this is not a need for speed. This is a need for very slow map out the terrain, pick your route. You have to change your tire pressure. You
Oh
have to switch it into
man.
low gear. Like it's pretty deep. It's very much a sim.
Jeez. Maybe you should. Did you ever think about getting like your CDL license or something?
No, no, because I'm not even good at driving the Altima, so I certainly don't need to be putting anything this big. Like there's no way.
I mean, I'm not good. I can't even unlock hard mode on driving. I can't be doing that.
Right, no. I'm also like I'm almost legally blind at this point. Like
Oh
it's a lot.
yeah, yeah.
No,
Well, you won't. Don't worry, they won't draft you for whatever new war we come up with.
no, they don't want me out there.
Yeah, damaged goods. You just.
Well, for many reasons, but yeah.
Cool, man. I like that. That's all good stuff. Um, yeah, we love that. We love truck games. Um, word from our sponsors. I don't have anything. Um, oh, and the other thing I've been reading is the Gears of War book called Fear Rising, which is technically the latest book published. Um, in the Gears of War franchise books, but chronologically, it actually takes place before the other books.
Mhm.
So it takes place after Gears of War 3, and you follow Marcus and Anya back to Afira, and they go to Anya's like her homestead, her house, her rich person house that she grew up in, and they like find it and they start to like rebuild it, and they're like trying to get local government back up and everything, and it's pretty, it's cool, it's good. I like the it's written by Michael Stackpole, who's a different writer than Karen, and I liked Karen's. I mean, I've read five of her books on Gears, so like I liked her characterizations of
Right.
like Phoenix and everybody. So his is a little different. I don't, the one thing I do not like is that he kind of made Anya a little more of a background character and sort of like this doting wifeish character to Marcus, which I was like, that
Mm.
doesn't really fit. Not Anya. Like
Mm.
I was like, this is a bitch that fought Locust. Like
Yeah, no
um
shit. Yeah.
like there's nothing wrong being sensitive, but like it just like the dynamic is like compared to like Karen's like depiction of Anya versus his is a little like I'm like really like Anya's like badass.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's cool. It's cool. I'm not well, I'll talk more about it basically when we talk about Gears 4, but I've been reading it and it's good. So if you like these books, get this one too because it also is I mean, I don't know how far it connects to Gears 4. They are talking about having a babby, so you know,
Mm,
so I don't know
hmm.
if JD's born in this or what, but um,
We can hope not.
yeah, I know. Right, kill him at the end of Gears 5. Um, so yeah, so I've been doing that, reading that. It's good. It's good. I like it. Um,
Oh, I'm
all right.
reading it. That's all I'm reading. So
Ooh, you reading it?
I am, yeah. I read that was my I think that was my no, it was not my first king, but that was my dad used to, remember the like I've probably talked about this before, but the Time Life like book Stephen King book club or whatever, where
Mm,
you get like his books in the mail if you signed up for this club.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it
Wish
was
we,
the thing. This was probably before your time, I guess, apparently.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
wish we still had that.
same. But it was like, yeah, it was like this Time Life series, and like if you signed up, you got like every hardcover as soon as it was released. Like they would send you one or whatever.
That's so dope.
And my dad was in that, and because he loved King, and I just remembered I used to always look at the artwork on the front of the books,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got his copy of Night Shift
Nice.
when I was in like seventh grade or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I started taking it to school with me and reading it when I had a chance. And that was my first King. And then the
Mm-hmm.
second thing that I took when I think it was in eighth grade was it, because I love that cover so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so I read it in eighth grade, and I've obviously seen it, all the movies and this and that, but I haven't revisited that book since then. So I finished The Shining for the first time,
Uh-huh.
and then I watched Kubrick's movie for the first, after finishing the book.
Right.
And man, I wanted to talk about that, but there was
Yeah.
like, I'm like, man, I am like 40 years too late for anybody to want to talk to me about this.
Well, it's so different. Like it's
It
so
is. Yeah.
it's you know what and Stephen King has obviously this like infamously has panned Kubrick's version because like
He's
when
come around on it now, though. He's
oh he
softened on
has
it a little bit.
that's
Yeah,
good
he has a little
is
bit.
is
Not a, he's not saying it's good, but like he's like, I understand it was a different, whatever. So he's not
well
as against it as he was.
I think for King that was like a really personal book because it was like about
Absolutely.
him getting
Yeah.
sober and like I
Yeah.
think for him like at that like all that like that was like peak King like cocaine at
Yeah.
alcoholic
Like that. Yeah.
phase.
Well, that whole thing where like when he was first started, a lot of his earlier novels it was about that. Like it was
Hmm.
like him dealing with substance and how that affected his kids and how he was afraid of almost of himself with
Hmm.
his kids at times. And then that in The Shining, Jack, like Danny knocked over papers and Jack was drunk and broke his arm like that.
Yeah.
That's all in there, right?
Yeah.
And the thing, my kind of takeaway, because for years I love The Shining, love that
Hmm.
movie.
Hmm. Me
And
too.
I was like, fuck's his problem? It's a good
Hmm.
movie. Like, I don't
Hmm.
know. Then I listened, then I read the book, and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I came away from being like, man, Nicholson was not the guy. Like, it's to play Jack Torrance. Like
Right.
he did great in the movie for what the movie does and what the movie is. But man, I think Jack Nicholson was not right for Torrance, and I don't think that Shelley Duvall was great for oh fuck, what's her name?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Wendy.
Yeah, Wendy.
Uh, not a great Wendy. So I think in the movie they work well enough of it, but as you know, those characters from the
Hmm.
book on film, no, not good.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it was a very interesting like jump from something that I loved so dearly for so many years to loving the book and then
Hmm.
watch the movie and be like, man, I get it. Like I know why he wasn't happy with this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it was hard for him to like just step away from that and be
yeah,
like,
100 stuff. It's something
yeah.
that personal for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was such a big battle for him. And I think for King, like that was like an achievement that he was able to kind of
Mm-hmm.
turn his situation into something creative. Um, but yeah, and also the endings are pretty different. I mean, in the
Oh, big
in,
time,
in
yeah,
the movie, it's
very different.
the hedge maze, and in the book, it's the furnace or the burner, right? And he blows it up or something.
Well, yeah, the Overlook blows up in the book. and then yeah, so the thing, it's not Jack anymore, but the thing,
Uh-huh.
yeah, is down in the furnace, and he thinks he's turned it off, and then it
Mm-hmm.
goes anyway, and then
Right.
Danny and Wendy and um, oh, Scatman Crothers, I just fucking finished the book. Uh, oh, Dick O'Halloran.
Yeah, they
So
got
they all get out, and then the hedge animals, the lions and
they
the
like
all
come
that stuff.
alive, right?
Yeah, they're yeah, like they're
Yeah.
a lot. So they have those to get past still, and then the Overlook blows up behind them, and like it's a whole
Yeah.
thing.
That would have
Yeah,
been hard to make in
yeah, exactly. That's like
1970
I
whatever.
get why that's left out. If I was like, if that's why King was mad, I'd be like, come on, bro. Like, how
Yeah.
would you have done it? Like, but for the fact that that it was just kind of Jack's portrayal of Jack Torrance, that stuff. I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I went back to, I had started it, and then I had a friend who was wanting to talk about books, and she was doing The Shining. I was like, all right, well, I'll do The Shining, but I read real slow, so just be prepared. So she had finished it and moved well on to something else, and so she didn't even. I was like, so I finished it. She was like, yeah, I don't remember that much. And I was like, God damn it. So I went back to it. So
Yeah, it's that's another one that's I think the more recent movies did I think they did as well as they could with that material. That's a
absolutely.
really hard book to adapt.
Yeah, and then
Um,
like imagine they're like, "Yo, what does everybody like? Television."
yeah.
And like, what else is people like? Well, whenever we do a Stephen King thing, I'm like, all right, well, what did you do last? It sounds good. NBC. And it's like, did you read it? Because probably don't need to do this one, guys.
Yeah, this is a rough one. This is a there's a big space spider thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's is a great book.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
One of the longer ones too. I think,
It is, yeah.
right
Yeah.
behind the uncut version of The Stand, I think is
Which is
probably
the only version of that book that I've read. I
that's
did
the only
that a
version you
few
need to
years
read,
ago.
baby. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I don't know. I could have done without the kid. I ain't gonna lie.
The
I
kid?
think, yeah, the guy that calls everybody happy crappy,
Oh
the
yeah.
greaster guy, the
Yeah,
kid. I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
that was a lot of the added stuff. And I was
Sure.
like, boy, I could have done without that.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
that was rough.
Hmm. Totally forgot about that until you brought it
Yeah,
up.
sorry.
Like blacked it out. I also just realized they did that weird TV adaptation like
Mm-hmm.
a few years
Mick
ago.
Garris. Oh no,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't. Oh yeah, the Mick Garris one's great. I didn't watch the
Hmm.
new one.
The new one was like it started like on point and then they just completely like it just derails into
Yeah. Well, I
nonsense.
heard it also like it started like three-quarters of the way through the book almost. Like it started with what's his name in prison already.
Yeah, it was really like it was so like the pacing it was like truncated and then there's like parts where they
Hmm.
would like spend too much time on and then you're just like okay, I don't even like
Yeah.
whoever wrote this I don't know what they were I don't know if they're planning for like more seasons and they're like nope, you just get one.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But it was yeah, not great. Um
Yeah, I heard so many bad things about it. I didn't even bother.
yeah, don't do it, man. Don't do it. Um yeah, Stephen King's still good. I love me Stephen King.
Sorry, I listened.
No, man,
I I
that's
became obsessed. like
my boy. I love him.
like there, so I became obsessed. So like uh when my dad passed, I got a lot of his books.
Hmm.
Um, so like I got his hardcover Cujo. I got like his Dark Tower stuff, and
Nice. My
I
favorite.
same. I never read any of it. I just was like I just wanted it because it was his.
Hmm.
And then the pandemic happened, and Scott Wampler and oh shit,
RIP.
yeah, I know. Well, that fucked me up. Let me tell
Hmm.
you. And then Vespi started the King cast, and that just so happened as right as I was kind of getting into podcasts too, and so I found the King cast I think on episode 2. I was like, they were talking about all these books and they sounded so good, and I was like, why the fuck haven't I read this? Like I own a lot of the stuff they're talking about,
Hmm.
and then like they're having like these guests on that the Elijah Wood episode about Misery was fucking phenomenal, and I
Hmm.
was like, man, why haven't I would rather have read this before I listen to them talk about it, and so that kind of started me, and I went through the Dark Tower. I got sober and the Dark Tower is what kept me sober.
That's a
Uh,
good one, man.
because it took me almost a year and a half to get through
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing. And then
Mm-hmm.
like I got into the old stuff. Salem's Lot is my favorite.
Absolutely.
Did that one. Like I said, just did The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
I did Pet Cemetery. And then I got into also some of the newer stuff, Insomnia. I did Revival.
Mm-hmm.
So
I liked
anyway,
Revival.
Revival's fantastic.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
I
feel like
got
people sleep on his newer stuff too because they're just like, oh, he's not the same,
you're
and
right. He had a like a resurgence because like there's a lot of like Dreamcatcher and like that kind of
yeah.
that era was
Hmm.
not great, but I think the
Doomy,
past yeah the past 10 years or so like he's back, man. He's back and like people really need to get like The Outsider was fucking great.
Outsider was
Um
awesome. I liked Holly that just came out a couple
I haven't read
years.
Holly yet. I
Yeah,
heard it's
Holly's
really
really yeah,
I
it's
know the
really good.
premise and I'm
Hmm.
looking forward to reading it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I started reading him in high school and
Yeah,
man.
like I said, I started and for whatever reason I just kind of fell off and then
Hmm. Yeah, there's something special about a King book because you can just like you're just always like, all right, here's another one, and then you open it and then you start reading it, and all of a sudden you're like 80 pages in, and you're like, whoa, when did that
yeah,
happen? Because like
you're
the
right.
he's like the master of pacing. Like there's nobody
Yes.
better at pacing than Stephen King, and you can just kind of devour his books without even like trying hard
Yep.
and enjoying them, and yeah, they're not as like I mean, maybe like The Outsider and stuff, like maybe not super horror centric like they used to be, but like,
Right. That's the thing. They're
I don't think anything that's not a bad thing. I mean, I don't like,
right. His characterization is so good that even when something even mildly horrific happens, you're like, oh no,
yeah,
like, but I mean, he still goes there, like the Outsider, for instance, like the whole like
yeah,
the
that's pretty
premise of
gross.
that book
Yeah,
starts with some really horrific shit. So
oof, yeah, that's a rough one. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a spooky one for sure.
and then the way Revival ends, I think, is one of the most fucked up endings he's written probably since the Jaunt, and the Jaunt
Yeah,
fucked me up.
yeah, yeah, Revival was really cool. Nobody talks about that one. That one's really cool. That
Yep.
came out in like 2013, I think. Because I remember reading that
13 and
while
14, yeah.
yeah, I was
Yep.
in grad school or something. I remember reading that. But yeah, um, cool, man. Yeah, welcome to the King cast, part two.
Sorry, I knew, like,
King cast. No,
I
I
knew
don't.
not to bring it up. I knew not to bring it up because I was
I I still have all my old like King paperbacks from high school in my house or my
nice.
apartment. Yeah, I keep all that stuff. I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, Castlevania.
So Castlevania, yeah.
Yeah, Castlevania Lords of Shadow. Okay, so about several months ago, half a year ago, I don't know how at this point, time is a joke, but we decided to look at Castlevania Lords of Shadow, which was a Castlevania game that I heard a lot about, heard a lot of mixed things about.
Mhm.
Um, had a weird development cycle. And Kojima was somehow involved. There's like all this weird stuff about it. And kind of was like an alternate timeline to the Castlevania people, the legacy, the lore,
The
the mythos,
Belmonts and
the
yeah, all
Belmonts,
that.
yeah. Um, so we did that, and I think we stepped away with it being like that was a totally fine God of War clone with a
Yeah.
bananas ending. That's probably
Yep.
better than the rest. Like the ending was better than the game.
Yes.
Uh, the last boss you fight is Satan himself.
Hmm.
And then you are I forget what happens. Like his wife goes to heaven. No, no, that was in I'm confusing Dante's Inferno now with Lords of Shadow. So then like I forget. Whatever it is, however it happens, you the game kind of ends with Patrick Stewart's character like named like Zoteb or
Zobek.
Zobek.
Zobek. Yeah.
Yeah. Zobek walking in uh on this character Gabriel who's
Hmm.
gone full vampiric
Full on
vampire.
Lord of Darkness,
Yeah,
Gabriel, our hero who we've been for the past 20 hours or so.
he's now the Lord, he's now Lord of Darkness. And so you're like, "Oh, okay, this is all cool stuff, and you're like, whatever. And then he gets thrown out the window of the church that he's in, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see that there's like cars and like, modern day stuff all around. And you're like, whoa! And then it just kind of cuts
Yeah.
to black. And you're like, wow, that
Yeah.
was crazy. What are they gonna do with the second one? And like, I've heard interesting things about the second one, but I was like pretty pumped to watch to play Lords of Shadow 2 because of how it just ends.
Yeah.
The first one ends. Um, and at first I was like totally vibing with Lords of Shadow 2, and then I got really frustrated with this game.
I
So,
did too. Yeah.
so I think it's so we'll get to that too. But so um this was developed so first of all, the first Castlevania Lords of Shadow is still the best-selling Castlevania game of all time.
Wow.
Which is like I like to me that blows my mind. I mean, I feel like any other one would have like any of them. I don't know, any of them would have done
Well,
better.
I mean, four is the greatest game ever made, and it didn't outsell
I
that fucking thing. That's
I guess
crazy.
so. I mean, I guess it just follows like the popularity of video games because like though like they just sold fewer units at that time when their games were younger. Um but so I feel like yeah, I don't know, but still I do think it's crazy that like the first Lords of Shadow is like the best. Like I could see it doing fine, but the
Mm,
best Castlevania like that do you know how many units you have to sell to be the best Castlevania of all time?
right.
Like I don't know what
Like,
those figures are,
like
but it's a
honestly, like
lot.
I say Castlevania 4 is the greatest game made because I love that game dearly. But my God, man, Symphony of the Night didn't do better than that.
Yeah, Symphony,
That's
that's
fucking crazy.
that's probably my favorite. But like it's a big brand that is funded by a big company. Um, and yes, that first Lords of Shadow blew it out of the water. It was developed by the first one was developed by Mercury Steam, and this second one was developed by Mercury Steam as well, and
Hmm.
published by Konami. David Cox came back as the producer, the production role on the Konami side for this game as well. And we talked about Dave last time, and he did a lot of interviews, and he's comes off as a guy who just really likes video games, and he just seems super pumped about Castlevania, and like he's pretty corporate, but I mean he can tell he likes this stuff. So it's
Yeah.
nice to see that he was attached to it still. Um and so yeah, so Lords of Shadow 2 comes out in 2014, and boy oh boy, it comes out to some more mixed reviews, as did the first game came out to mixed reviews, and this one did too, but for like weird different reasons.
Hmm.
um so essentially Lords of Shadow 2 starts where the first game ended, in that scene in which you are thrown out the window into modern day. You take control of a, well, it actually goes back in time, I think, at first, right?
To me, it seemed like it for sure because
Yeah, I think so. Never mind. Let me retrace the steps. I think the best part of it puts its best foot forward, this game. Like it starts out, you are in your castle and you are being attacked by people who want to kill Dracula, and you just learn the fighting controls, and you're like it's really fun because you're like, "Oh my God, like the camera's unlocked now." Like you don't have like, forced camera angles like in the first one. And you're like, "Oh, the combat's like kind of interesting. This reminds me of like Devil May Cry, like the the one we covered, the emo one, because it's like it has all these like weird like weapon combos. We have to hold like the shoulders, and like you do more like depending on what weapon you're using, you can like heal yourself, or you can, break armor, and like there's all you got to remember all these things.
yes,
And you're like, cool, like this is like fun and interesting, and like you're killing all these dudes trying to get in. Then they shove you outside and you're like fighting this like medieval mech
fucking
thing. Yeah.
steampunk golem fucking thing,
Yeah. And you're like
giant
you're
mech.
jumping around on it, and you're like, you're beating it. You're like, this is like the first game, but like different. But like I like the idea of like climbing like a big beast and like bringing it down. And um and then it kind of flashes forward again, and you are now like an old Dracula. You're very sickly. You haven't been you haven't been munching on people or something. I don't know what's going on with him.
I don't either. He's like,
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know why he's not taking advantage of all the people downstairs. But anyways, then you like get up, or somebody helps you get up, or I forget how it happens. Like or that's like somebody comes in, they're like, here, eat these people.
yeah,
And then like you like You
Well,
drain
because Zobek needs you, so he
right.
needs you to regain your power to stop Satan from coming back. So yeah, so he sends like yeah, so yeah, like you
Just
go out, yeah. It's as your game is would start. You're an underpowered, malnutritioned
yeah,
Dracula,
Prince of Darkness. And so
and Patrick Stewart needs you to be strong boy again, so you
you
can
gotta be
fight the
strong.
devil.
Which is weird because I feel like you are the devil now, but like okay, like that's sort of
You're the current living devil, whereas
right.
the real devil is attempting to be resurrected by acolytes.
Yeah,
And
like
you
it's
have to
that
stop that because the real devil will fuck Zobek shit up.
because
So
because the first game ended with an anime fight with the Satan,
yes,
and it was
exactly.
and now yeah he could come back. So, anyways, after eating some people, you are like you feel like you can walk around a little bit, so you go outside and like at this part of the game, I was like, this is kind of like I'm like totally vibing with this. Like
I was into it.
I
Yeah.
was like, this is cool. This reminded, you know what it reminded me of was Blood Omen 2 or something like that.
Yes.
Like a Legacy of Kain game
Yeah, blood. Yes.
where you're like,
I
oh,
miss
okay.
those games.
I know, man. But like you come out and you're like, I was like, okay, this is gonna be like a Blood Omen type game where you're set out into the world and like you can like, you're like an anti-hero story where you can like kill
Hmm.
random people and then like you have to explore the world at night or whatever. And I was like, I thought that's where it was kind of going.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't do that. Basically
Mm-mm.
they like make it so you have to hobble your way into some alley and then the game just kind of like traps you in this weird like maze of corridors that connects to like a hub world of sorts.
Right.
Um in the city future part.
And
Uh
man, I do not understand the fascination. As much fun as I've had playing these games from this era for the show,
mhm.
I do not, and I will never understand the fascination they have with demons running factories. Like, I mean, soda factories, and now they're
Yeah,
they're running labs, and I'm just like, what the fuck was the obsession with that back then?
I don't know, dude. And it's like it's so weird. So this leads me to the like the biggest problem of this game, which is like it's doesn't happen often in the game, but it happens enough that it completely ruins your experience with the game. And essentially, you kind of get to this moment when you're kind of crawling around in these like back areas of the city. Because I thought I was going to be like in the city, like where all these
Hmm.
people, like I thought that's what it was going to be. Like I was like, this is going to be awesome. But you're kind of like in these other parts, and then you have to like you're still not like 100% yet. So you like walk into like a like stealth sort of like section, I guess you could say,
Hmm.
where you have to there's these big giant guards that are wear this huge armor, they have this gun. If you walk out, they just obliterate you. And
Did you catch the armor?
it
I
looks
thought that was
like
I thought
the
that
like
was
the
really
Bram
cool.
Stoker arc.
Yeah,
Is that what it's supposed to
yeah,
be? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Pretty
I thought
good.
that was kind of cool.
Yeah, pretty good.
I love
Um,
that movie, so I thought that was pretty dope.
that
Little,
movie
little.
is art.
Hmm.
Movie's art, dude. Um, so you're like at this, you have to distract the guards with like your bat power, and they kind of like you they get distracted because they're like, oh, get out of my face, and then you have to like climb up this wall, which I had to do like 5 times because it was like you'd hit like an
Yeah.
electrical wire and I'd fall
Yep.
down and they see you and like
And
it,
they insta kill you. Yeah.
yeah, they insta kill you, and so there's like the mechanics like the functionality wasn't there to make it like a smooth jump around and make this happen
Mm-mm.
kind of thing. But I was like, okay, well, like I kind of get this like in the game because like I don't have all my powers yet. I just had dinner, I'm still getting my powers
Sure.
back. And
Sure.
I was like, okay, well that makes sense. Um and then that kind of comes up over and over again the entire
Hmm.
game and you're just like, I am the Prince of
No,
Darkness. Why are
no
you
matter
making
how strong you get, you can't fuck with these guys in this armor.
and I'm like, like I took down like ice giants
Exactly.
in the first
Yes,
game.
there are bosses that were fucking 100 times your size, but don't give me a motherfucker in this red armor with a fucking chain gun thing. Like I can't touch it.
Yeah, and there's these other segments where you have to turn into a rat and run around as a rat.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, like I guess like Dracula lore wise, like turning into a bat or a rat is pretty sure, fine.
Sure. Yeah.
But I, I did you just see me like just like whip
Yes,
this whip around and like hit people? Like
right.
I don't get why I'm hiding as a
Yeah,
rat, you know? Like it's
right. Yes.
and jumping through like fans and stuff. So there's like that aspect of the game, and then there's the rest of it, which is um I would say more or less like the first game, except the camera's unlocked and you're kind of in these areas that require some puzzles to figure out,
Yeah,
some pretty standard combat situations.
yeah. It's very much you know do some traversal, solve some puzzles, go from this kind of battle arena, for lack of a better term, to the next
Hmm.
battle arena. But the thing that that I think that I like the first game, I think the first game did better was in it was done more like in a level style, right?
Right.
And so you got to go. The camera sucked, obviously, just a fixed
Hmm.
camera, but you got to go to all these different places, and so everything felt kind of different, even though the combat was very much the same thing over and over. Where
Hmm.
this game made you go back through areas so many fucking times, and I guess maybe that was sort of a nod to the Metroidvania Symphony of the Night thing, or maybe that wasn't, and I'm just reading too much into it. But having to like follow that fucking wolf thing back to the same goddamn hallway over and over just because I can be the mist now, I'm like, oh my god.
Uh-huh.
Like this game has so many pacing issues.
Yeah, so the reason for the pacing issues is because and it was like they basically like so for the feedback of the first game, people said like um it was too much like it was very much like a God of War
Mm,
clone. So the answer to that they came up with were these like weird stealth sections that have no place
no.
being in this game. So like in order to like create it less God of War, they added a feature that made it some like part of some other game, like what is this like
Mm.
Deus Ex or something? Like I don't what am why what
Phrase.
am I doing? Like what?
Dracula Fisher.
Yeah, Dracula fish. Yeah, he's, he's jumping up the wall and like waiting. Um, like it's a really strange decision, and it's a shame because I feel like the majority of the game is fine. Like it's fine. Like I think there are some pretty cool, memorable moments. Like I think, well, obviously, like
Yeah.
the opening part is super memorable, but there's like that one boss you have to fight on that like stage. That's like
Yeah, the Mary the I don't know, fuck. Yeah,
Puppet Master
that
dude,
puppet
whatever.
master guy, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, which is
The puppet
like
thing.
it kind of doesn't make sense. Like a lot of this game makes
No.
zero sense. Like why am I fighting the puppet master guy? Like I don't know what's going on. But like the
Mm,
boss fight itself was like kind of interesting because it was just I don't
yeah,
know, it was like a set piece, right? And I
right.
think every so often the game had a set piece that was like pretty good. Some of the
Hmm.
bosses were like required you to like Zelda style like figure out what their weakness was, like
Yes.
to use, what color blade or whatever.
Yes.
Um and I think like that stuff is cool. Like I don't think it was done perfectly, but I mean it was like stuff that was like okay, like I get it. Like, like this is fun. And like there's like that one boss fight where you have to like like if you're like losing health, you have to like suck on your hot wife that's like
Yeah, 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 yeah,
like
yeah,
to get your health back and she's like in a cage and it's like really weird.
yeah.
And
Fucking their take on Cerberus was really fucking interesting with the three sisters or whatever.
yeah.
Good lord.
Oh
That was
my
a hell of
God.
a boss fight.
Yeah. There's some like cool things in it, you know what I mean? And then there's like
Hmm.
these other parts where you're like, why am I following my kid around? And we're looking for a pieces of like shards to
Yeah.
a mirror.
Yeah,
Like,
why does he need this mirror? What he's playing a like chess or some shit. Like why I don't
yeah, you're like,
understand what
it was like so dumb. You're just like, what? Like, and they just, and like I said earlier on here, it's like they drop it in your lap and you're just expected to know like what's going on, but
Right.
there's no context. There's like, there's the context that like Zobek says, like, get up, we gotta do this
Stop
now.
the acolytes, yeah.
Yeah, stop the acolytes. And then that's kind of it. And then you're just like in this, you go back and forth in time or whatever, or different reality. I don't know what it is, but like, you go through like the future city and then you're like back in
Mm,
this other place. and like they could have done a lot with that too, like Ocarina of Time style.
Mm,
But it's clunky, it doesn't really jive. And then they have these like moments where you're like you all of a sudden you feel like you're in a rhythm. And you're like, all right, like, yeah, this
yeah.
is, and then you head on into one of these dumb stealth moments where they're like, you have to
Yeah.
get into the doctor's body to unlock the door to get
Hmm.
in there, and then the spooky
This
guardsmen can't see you.
right because you need the serum that'll turn the lady human again, but then
Oh yeah.
she's Satan's daughter, and so that didn't work. It's
I forgot about the lady you kidnap and they like inject her with the
yeah,
fluid. It's so dumb. You're just like, what are they, who wrote this? What is this?
yes, yeah, yeah.
There's like one stealth section where you have to like get into a rat in order to get on a train.
The train sequence, good
Oh
lord.
my God, bro.
Ugh.
Like I don't like, and like that's the thing. So there's this really great article that I will put in the post for this from Eurogamer, but David Cox and the um director of Mercury Steam, the Spanish guy, I forget his name right now. It's like Enric or something. They do sort of like a kind of post-mortem on this game, and
Mm,
it's pretty cool because they're pretty transparent about like the process, and they said this game was a shitstorm, quote, like that's the quote. And they like it, like they realized they made some mistakes, but they also felt like they liked making the product and whatever. Like it's a good interview where they're not trying to promote the game, so they're not really trying to tell you, like, sell you on it. And
right.
I think at this point they've moved on to other things. Um, and so they said they bring up the stealth thing, and like they're like, yeah, it was like it's not even like 10% of the game, like those stealth parts, but like people really focused on them.
Yeah, it certainly
And
feels like more than that.
but yeah, but like it's true though, because like it tanks the pacing so hard
Yeah,
that you get like I got like upset that I had to like turn it off.
yeah.
Like it was like I was like, this is not fun.
Yeah,
There's like
it got to the point for me where I was like, I'm not even gonna sit here and even try to figure out on my own what this fucking game wants me to do right now. So I would just go to YouTube, watch the solution, get through it as quick as I could, and it still took too fucking long.
yeah, because the game doesn't really cooperate with you, like the controls and stuff.
Hmm.
And there's not only there's those like stealth sections with the guards, but there's like a couple of boss or like mini boss areas where you can't let them see you.
Yes.
And it is just so dumb. Like if you step on leaves in this one, like he'll come find you. And
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah.
as soon as he finds you, game over. Like
Yep.
you like right to cut to starting out all over again.
Right.
And it's like not fun to play. Like there's nothing fun about it. There's nothing enjoyable about it.
No.
And they do this a few times, and it's like yeah, it might be a small part of the game, but it definitely tanks. Like every time I would feel like I was getting into like an exploration like rhythm and looking
Yeah.
around and like
Yeah.
having a good time, that I was just like hit head on with this like section I knew that was going to take me 30 minutes at least
Hmm.
to
Yep.
get through, because I had to, because it's a trial and error situation. It's not very clear like what you're supposed to do, and the only reason you can find out is if you just throw things at the wall to figure it out.
Right.
Like there's no alternate solutions. There's one solution. You need to get it. If you don't do it right, it's you know
Yeah, back to the
permadeath.
checkpoint.
Yeah,
Yep.
back at the checkpoint. So it's like that's not fun. That's not good game
No.
design. That's, if you wanted to differentiate yourself from a game of God of War, sure thing. But it also like it also just makes zero sense in the world, like why Dracula would be doing this, like
Right.
why you're playing as Dracula and you have to like sneak around these guards with guns. Like it's just so silly to me.
Yeah, 100%.
um so yeah, so I'll link that interview because I think it's really good and worth reading, because it tells you a lot about game development and like what it was like working with Konami, because this game comes out, and it came out too around the launch of the new consoles, which I don't think it did it any
Hmm.
help it anyway in any way.
Yeah.
So like the PS4 was coming out and the Xbox One was coming out. Um, the game did fine, like money wise, not as much as Konami wanted, and the critics just really were pretty lukewarm on it to super negative. So they kicked Dave Cox off the Konami team. He's gone. And he went to open or work for 505 Games, and they do a lot of production work. Um, Now for video games, like he helped, which is funny because it looks like he helped put out like Death Stranding in some capacity.
Mm,
Like he still like went back to Kojima-san
right.
to work with him in some way, which
That one I've got to play. Everybody tells me I'm gonna hate it, which makes me want to play it even more.
oh yeah, man, you gotta get the carry the baby and the
Yeah,
Guillermo del Toro shows up and
that's saying like on paper it sounds like it's right up my street, but like everybody says I'm gonna hate it. I Somebody literally told me I can't wait for you to play that because you're gonna hate it. I was like, well, I'm sold.
yeah, I mean, there's nothing ever to me is gonna be no matter what Kojima does will be Metal Gear.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
love those games so
I do
much.
too, and I'm not looking for this to be that, but
Hmm.
you know, he's also like, I just that dude is like so weird, and I love it.
He is so weird. And he's like everywhere all the time.
Yes,
Like I'm not like like he'll just be like he'll like post like a selfie with like Vladimir Putin or something. And you're
you're
like,
right.
where are you? Are you okay?
Yeah,
Why are you with
like
Putin?
blink if you need help.
Yeah.
Like,
He wasn't with Putin, but like you'll see like selfies of him with like random ass people that are like
right, yeah, yeah,
very like famous for not the reasons why Kojima would
mm,
be around
mm-hmm,
them.
mm-hmm.
Like he seems great and he's like 70 something and he looks like he's a child still.
Oh
I
my
don't get it.
god, I didn't know he was 70. It's
Yeah, he's
crazy.
like
Holy
wait,
shit.
let me see. Kojima age.
Watch
Oh,
him be
sorry,
my age.
he's 61, sorry.
Oh, okay, not quite. I was like, God.
Yeah, but still
Everybody,
61. He looks good for 61.
people look at me and are like, "What are you like 70?" I'm like, "Yeah,
What are you retired, boy? Um
yeah."
um and in the interview they talk about working with Kojima because I mean Kojima was like a big name attached to the first Lords of Shadow, but honestly like he didn't do much. He gave the team like a lot of like free reign. He helped them with the production end. I guess he gave them money or whatever. I don't know what he did. But he gave a few pointers, but really like let Mercury Steam do what they do. And for whatever it is, that game is what it is, and it's I think it's fine. It's
hmm
weird. Um, but yeah, they talk about how he was really great to work with, and how even though Konami canned Dave Cox, he says that
hmm
Konami was great to work with as well. And it seems like he's doing fine. So all good. So it's like all these things, man. It's like everything in entertainment, book business, video game business. They get
Yeah,
canned
for
from
sure.
somewhere, they go somewhere else in the business, and they're fine.
Yeah.
And then Mercury Steam after this, like Nintendo actually took notice of them and was like, "You guys are kind of cool. How would you like to do the new Metroid for us?" And Mercury Steam did Metroid Dread for
Oh
Nintendo.
wow, I didn't know
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Holy
So
shit!
isn't that really like wild? And like
Wow.
and like if Mercury Steam didn't do, all of this, we wouldn't have gotten, Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
But it looks like they helped I'm just pulling it up now. It looks like they helped. They also did Samus Return, sorry, on the
Oh, okay.
3DS
Wow.
as well in a couple years later. So they did two Metroid games, and I don't know who's doing Prime 4, but I don't think it's them.
I can't
Uh,
remember. I think it wasn't it the same studio. I don't remember. Maybe not. Maybe that's. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't look like they're listed as it. So, but I mean, like
Gotcha.
that's pretty cool. Like like after
Yeah, yeah,
this and this sort of like mixed bag that both these games were,
yeah. No
um,
shit.
that they
Imagine
got.
what could have been if these guys did Dread. Like,
Yeah,
it's like
right.
if you had told me before I played either one of these games, these guys did Metroid Dread. You know how excited I would have been for a fucking Castlevania by the guys that did Metroid Dread?
But I mean, like, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Like, Castlevanias are Metroidvanias, right? Whatever you
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
it's all
I'd have been so
combined.
hyped, and then
Yeah.
and then and then it would have been Dracula sort of in turning into a bat because he can't fight
because
the armored guys and he's
can't
on the
fight.
train and
That's
then he has
right.
to infiltrate the weird demon lab to kidnap Satan's
The
daughter. Like, what?
what?
Like,
Yeah, Patrick Stewart smokes with
yeah,
gloves
right.
on.
Zobek, listen, Zobek had nothing to fear from Satan because my man did not have long to live anyway with the way he smokes. Jesus Christ.
Every scene, bro had a cigarette.
God.
I
And a
also,
new one. It
yeah, I
wasn't
knew.
even like the same one.
So how expensive that is in this economy. All I could think of is how nasty that glove must have smelled.
Oh my God. Yeah.
When you get
Yeah.
like, I used to smoke, but like, you'd like your fingers would smell so nasty from smoking.
Yeah. I've literally never smoked a cigarette or
Correct.
anything.
Good for
So,
you, dude. Just yeah, it was the worst thing.
but my parents both did. So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it just stinks, man. Like, oh
Hmm.
God. Anyway, so yeah, so Mercury Steam went on to be fine, and it seems like they're fine. They got that
Yeah, that's
Nintendo,
awesome.
they got that Nintendo money, and and then Konami, Konami kind of ducked out from making games. The other thing I wanted to say is Mercury Steam also did the Mirror of Fate game on the 3DS, which is more
Oh,
sort of
cool.
traditional side scrolly, Castlevania kind of
Man.
thing. So they already had, I guess, some skill like that. That was part of their wheelhouse to do that type of game already.
Hmm.
So they're pretty
That's
adaptable.
like Konami kind of having this weird pseudo resurgence and Dread doing so well. I mean, I don't want to get excited, but I'm just saying it's been a while since we've gotten to Castlevania. It could happen. You know,
Bro, yeah.
the Dead Cells Castlevania crossover thing did pretty well from what I. So I mean, it could
Yeah.
happen.
Listen, man, they got Castlevania on Dying Light now or something? Or what do they have
Dead
it
by
on?
Daylight.
Dead by Daylight, sorry, yeah. So
Yeah.
like they're maybe they're gauging interest. I mean, I'd be so happy with like I'm looking at Konami's games that they got coming out, which is they've had like since they've done nothing except like arcade games and shit since this
Yes.
came out. And then of course their pachinko business in Japan's crazy. But
Right.
the yeah, if they were to do another like side-scrolling Castlevania game,
Yes, please.
that would be awesome. Like and they like really like fleshed it out like
I mean,
they gave
they
it
did
like
remaster the arcade game for that latest collection. So
yeah, that is true. Yeah, for did they put that in the DS collection? Or
yeah,
the
that one. Yeah, I forget what
yeah,
it's called. I forget what it's
Dominus, the
called, but
Dominus
yes, that one.
something, yeah.
Dominus, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
that has the remaster of the arcade game in it.
Oh
So
my God. Well, I mean, if they did the thing where what they did with like Prince of Persia with the new one, The Lost Crown,
yes, oh my
if they're
God,
making Castlevania like that, like I like that
that would be printing money. Like I don't understand why you wouldn't do that.
I
Like,
I don't know either, dude.
like I mean, they paid God knows how much money for Warren Ellis to write seasons of an anime, and
Oh yeah, I forgot about the
but
anime.
you're
Yeah.
not going to give us a fucking game. Like what are you doing? Oh my God.
Yeah, Konami, they don't it's like they don't like video games anymore.
Mm,
Um
or money. I don't
or
understand
money.
it.
Or
Like,
I think they just like gambling. I think they just like that's where
yeah,
they put their money in now.
right. I
Um
guess.
so this game ends with just a bunch of nonsense. Uh
Well, just Satan comes back because you have to let him come back because your kid was the dude in the armor the whole time, and there was some weird fucking like he made you he want you let yourself be killed because you would forget that you were going to come back later to kill Satan again, and then Zobek fucking enters his final form. It's a whole thing,
and
and I'm
then
just like, okay,
you go back into your little hidey hole at the end.
yeah,
And
because the only way you can achieve what you truly desire, the final death, is to let yourself be not quite killed, so that you can be resurrected later to kill Satan again
and the cycle
because your kid
continues. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's a whole. And anyway, yeah.
Remember that stupid part in the game where you had to like throw your daggers to like hit the platforms for your
I do remember that.
that's
Yeah,
that was I wanted to like get a firearm. Like
yeah,
that was like the stupidest thing I
yeah,
think they've
yeah.
ever put in one of these games.
It's like, I
Um
don't need a dog. It's
yeah.
like, all right, well, that's you have to hit the thing so I can jump over. Why don't you stay there and I'll keep playing the game?
Why don't I just turn it back and get over there? I don't know. Like
Yeah,
I feel like
you're
there's so
not
many.
really doing a whole lot, bro. Like,
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Like there's so much room for like badassery, and they just like completely dodge it all the
oh
time.
shit, and then the other. So Trevor
Yeah,
was,
the whole the all the Belmont stuff is all screwed up. So I'm
and then like Assassin's Creed Belmont comes in for a little bit, but then he gets killed
yeah. Oh
because
yeah, you like chase that guy through the
you
city,
had
and
to
he's like,
chase him.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's like homeless.
yeah,
He's like
yeah,
the homeless guy, and then you like chase him,
and
and then
he's
he
like
just like yeets himself when you find him, right?
yeah, and but yeah, but because he's another Belmont, but he knows that he has to die for you to get something.
Right.
So then he gets killed, and then you find out the dude in the armor the whole time is Alucard, who used to be Trevor or some shit like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
he's not your son because right? Or did wait.
he is
Okay,
because
he
but
is.
you thought you had killed him, but
Right.
then somehow he didn't die or he came back, but he didn't. But then he killed you, but then you didn't remember that because he needed you to come
Oh
back later
man.
and remember it. So
Yeah, I don't
ugh.
I'm I don't know how Patrick Stewart signed up for this.
I mean, listen, man, if you're signing me a check probably the size that he got, I'll say whatever the fuck you want me to say.
I guess so.
I
But
don't
like
have to understand it. I
I would
don't
like to
care.
sit him down. I would like to sit down this Shakespearean actor and ask
Listen,
him about
I would. This guy has done so many things, and if I got the opportunity to talk to him, all I want to talk about was this and Green Room. And
yeah.
I don't give
Oh,
a fuck about
oh
Star Trek.
yeah.
I
Green
don't want to talk
Room.
about anything else. Just
Uh-huh.
Green Room and fucking Lords of Shadow.
I totally forgot about Green Room. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Well,
good
I just
movie.
watched the latest Saulnier joint on Netflix, so I'm excited. I've been like
What was it?
talking
The
about his
Ridge?
movies again. And
So,
yeah, 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 something like that.
did
Ridge
did you like
something.
it? Was it good? I actually
I did. I
haven't seen
really
it.
liked it.
Cool, 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 cool.
It's not. It never goes to that like level of violence that you expect.
Sure.
Rebel Ridge. That's the name of it, Rebel Ridge.
Rebel Ridge. There we go.
It doesn't really go to that level of like violence that Green Room and like Blue Ruin, his other stuff,
Yeah.
um, does. Which it was kind of disappointing, but at the same time, it's such a good fucking movie. Like it really didn't bother me that it didn't go there. And the thing is, like the main character, it's established pretty early on that he is very capable of
Mm-hmm.
that level of violence,
Mm-hmm.
but he's also very disciplined and very reserved. And
Mm-hmm.
so you don't quite know just how dangerous he is until a certain point in the movie. And I don't want to spoil anything, but
Mm.
once you realize he is more than capable of fucking everyone in this movie up, the fact that he never really does all that much just makes you like appreciate that character. He's just such a complex, really cool character.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good movie. It's sort of like it's sort of like what is that movie? Uh, where the guy like goes to the military and then comes back home, and they did a remake with The Rock, and he beats the shit out of everybody with a 2x4.
The Rundown? No.
No, it's not that. No,
Born on
that's
the
not
4th
it.
of July.
That's it. That's the one. Tom Cruise beats the shit out of everybody with a 2x4. No, anyway, it doesn't matter. But it's like, he kind of. Anyway, this isn't a Rebel Ridge podcast, but it's a really good movie.
Rebel Ridge podcast. Now I'm blanking on that Dwayne Johnson movie that you're talking
But
about.
it was a remake. The one that The Rock was in was a remake. But
Oh
hold on, let me
God.
see. Let me look.
San
Oh,
Andreas.
that's it. No. Jumanji, that's it. That's the one with
Oh,
the Chewbacca. No,
Jumanji.
that's not it. Let's see. There are way too many fucking WWE credits for me to be looking for this fucking movie right now. Hold on. Skyscraper
I've
Rampage.
got to know now though, because
I know.
now
I'm gonna get it. I'm getting there.
my brain's gonna hurt.
I'm close. Let's see. Motherfucker. He does a lot of bullshit.
He did do a lot
Good
of
lord. Was it before the game plan? That's crazy. I guess it was the Walking Tall. Jesus Christ.
Oh, Walking Tall, right?
Yes. So it's a little bit of that where somebody
Michael Douglas.
no, that's that's falling down.
Oh,
That's completely different.
oh my God, bro,
We've
my
gone off the
brain,
rails,
my
people. This
brain
is it.
is
It's over.
my
It's time
wires.
to shut it
He
down.
said Walking Tall. No, that's falling down. Just yeah.
Yeah. He said, "Oh, Michael Douglas." Nope.
Oh my
Oh
God,
God.
bro.
If you're gonna remake a Michael Douglas movie, let me tell you who you get. The Rock.
The Rock. Didn't wait, they didn't they wait a minute. I feel like they made a falling down remake,
No,
didn't they?
not I'm aware of. I wish they
No,
would.
no, they
That would
did.
be amazing.
Yeah, I don't know how it would fly. Uh, yeah, no, they didn't make a remake. Or did they? I don't know.
No.
No,
Good
they
Lord,
did.
no.
Oh God. Okay. Anyways, 1993's Falling Down is a good movie too. That's a Joel Schumacher joint. I did not even know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Now I got to go back and watch and see if there's anybody like any just like hot dudes like with their muscles out for no reason.
Yeah. Right.
It's a common Schumacher trope.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot he died. Oh man,
Mhm.
that guy was great.
Absolutely.
Man, Joel Schumacher, man, making just the best trash.
Oh my God. Yeah, right. Like in the bat signal's not a pager. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good. So
Oh
good.
man, I want to watch Phone Booth again.
Phone Booth is a great movie.
Yeah, Blood Creek was so good. Henry
Mm-hmm.
Cavill. Oh man,
Yep.
that was such a good movie. Anyways,
So that was Castlevania.
Castlevania. I mean, I don't. I think the big takeaway of it is it's kind of interesting. I think it's an interesting look at how developers take criticism the wrong way and do the
Mm,
wrong thing with it
yes.
and make the game like they don't flesh out the actual good parts of the game. They just cover it with like these parts that should just feel like they should just shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, right.
Like I don't mind having like a nonsensical story and nonsensical boss fights, but I think when you're hit with like, you know, every hour to 90 minutes you're hit with like a section that just like brings you to a crawl or just makes you so frustrated you don't want to play anymore.
Hmm.
I think that's just bad design. um I think you should, I think to people who are listening, I think you should read the interview they did. I think it really is a cool look at development as a whole, and they're pretty transparent about the experience and what it was like to make it, and also like parts of it that they were just really not happy with. But also somehow being like they pulled it off and they were fine, fine with the product. So I think that's interesting. So, um, yeah, I think unless we play the Mirrors of Fate
Hmm.
game, that is the end of the Castlevania Lords of Shadow nonsense. I don't think they're gonna revisit. Like, I don't think Konami's gonna
No,
be
I
like
wouldn't think
Lords of
so.
Shadow 3. Um, so yeah, and I hope that all this Castlevania talk brings about a new Castlevania game that would be more like
There
in,
has to be one. There's just too much. They just keep putting it into too many other things right now.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean part of yeah, they could just be licensing it out for money, or they're doing like a gate like a interest gauge for like how
Mm,
well this stuff does. Who knows? But I think there'd be a lot of people happy with like an old school Castlevania with like, you
very
know,
much. Yeah.
modern day quality of life stuff in it. Like
Hmm.
there are so many great like Castlevania clones, that are out there that you can
Hmm.
play.
Hmm.
And people love them. And
Bloodstained and Bloodstained 2 are both fantastic.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, Bloodstained 2. I am getting, well, I guess it's not technically, it's more like blasphemous, but I'm getting, finally
Hmm.
getting, Jesus Christ, Jesse. I gotta look up my orders here. The Last Faith.
Mm, I
Uh,
don't know that one.
yeah, so it's a Bloodborne aesthetic.
Oh, never mind. I'm good.
Blasphemous. Well, no, it's like blasphemous, but it has like the skin of a Bloodborne game, like
Oh,
gothic,
okay, I got you. Okay.
gothic
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Victorian
Oh, okay, gotcha.
situation, slow combat like in blasphemous, a lot of, you got to parry, hit them,
Yes.
that kind of
Okay.
thing. But very excited to play that. And that's also like something that's influenced by Castlevania and Dark Souls, but
Right.
mostly we wouldn't have gotten it if it wasn't for Castlevania. So, I mean, this stuff's out there. Come on, Konami.
Right.
I will give you $60. I gave, for a game, for a side-scrolling Prince of Persia Lost Crown clone.
Hmm.
I'll do it.
I
That
would do it.
game,
I'd buy it digitally and then buy it physically. So,
that game was the Lost Crown was like 40 hours long, and I played it, and
hmm.
I loved every minute of it. And I'll play whatever Konami wants to give me,
Yep.
So, but
Yep.
it's okay. They're putting out Metal Gear Solid 4 again, and they're putting out Castlevania like the old ones again. They're
Yeah.
doing that for a little bit, so they're putting out, which I'm really excited to get, is the remaster redo redo of Snake Eater.
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
which it's really funny, like there's a
Well, like
bunch
Silent Hill 2 remakes coming.
Silent Hill 2 remake. So yeah, they're just revisiting a lot of old properties. So who knows? But that Snake Eater's supposed to be pretty good. The
Yeah, it
people have
looks.
played it. People have played it. They're like, there's, I think it was IGN was the only one that complained about it, or maybe it was GameSpot, one of those guys, where they were like, it's essentially Snake Eater, but it just, it's all like, it's the exact same thing where like you walk from like, section to section and do the thing, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. Like, I
Yeah,
think
no problem.
like that's a 10 out of 10 game. So if they just do that
You're
again,
right.
I know what I'm getting. It's not like I'm expecting them to make like uh, I don't know, like the Final Fantasy 7
Hmm.
remake version of Metal Gear Solid 3. Like
No,
like
like no.
why would
Right.
you do that?
Well, if
Um
you're gonna do that, do the first one. Like, don't. Yeah, don't do Snake Eater.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, do the first one. Yeah, I mean the first one, oh man, that first one, dude, so good.
Yes.
But I mean all the baddies and their origin story
Hmm.
in Snake Eater is so good too.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
Ocelot, or before he becomes Revolver Ocelot, or
Right.
even before he becomes Liquid Ocelot, because he gets his so he gets a hand sewn onto him and he becomes Liquid. That's right. That's Kojima at work.
100%.
But I guess that's it. I don't have much more to say. Mitch, do you have any extra thoughts to add
No, I think
about
I got
Castlevania?
everything I thought about it. I think we covered pretty well.
Yeah, I think final thoughts. It's one that I like. There might be a small sliver chance that I'll revisit the first Lords of Shadow. I don't think I'll ever go back to Lords of Shadow 2 because I'm gonna get to that first stealth part and I'll be like, "Yep, I'm not
Oh,
gonna do
right.
it." Yeah,
That's why I hated this.
yeah. Yep. Basically, that's what's gonna happen. So, man, oh man. Well, Mitch, as always, thanks for coming on, chit chatting. In a
Yeah, man.
couple of weeks, we're gonna be doing Gears of War 4. We're doing our Gears of 4 Part 2. Gears of Fall Part 2,
Gears of Fall
sorry.
Part 2.
Yeah, there we
Good
go.
Lord, please no Gears of 4 Part 2.
Yeah, no, we're gonna revisit Gears of 4. I've been playing it with my girlfriend. It's been fun. We've been doing the co-op, and
Yeah,
we're in the
that's
fifth.
cool.
We're in the fifth. We're at the end.
You're at the end, yeah.
Yeah, because it's pretty short.
Yeah, I'm in I'm in the middle of Act 3, I think. So
That's where it like
uh,
gets in my
that's when
opinion
it gets
is
good. Yeah, we're
yes,
as
exactly.
close to good as it gets anyway.
I think it's actually only good really in that third act, and then the rest of it is we'll talk more about it. But
Yeah.
I don't have like I like it. It's a fine game. But I do think it takes a while to get there, and then they take away Marcus Phoenix in like most of
Hmm.
Act 4, and you're like, well, he was great to have around. Why are we taking him
Yeah.
away?
My fucking tomatoes.
Yeah. Well, he's like, he's mad. He's like, Dom liked his tomatoes. There's no food anymore, so those are
Right.
precious, man.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, just that's my favorite line in the game.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. There's also like some cool we were playing it and there's like, you go through some of the old like cog buildings and there's like all this stuff, like this propaganda about like getting pregnant for the cause
Oh
and all.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And like
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. I'm like this is like really cool. Like this is stuff that like very much ties into like where they were at, when they're trying to rebuild.
Mm.
And stuff like that I think is really cool. Yeah, it's not well, yeah, Honestly, it's just JD. Really, I mean, I
Yep.
think I would. I think the Nathan Drake version of JD is just like I like Nolan North as a
Yes.
voice actor, but like it's pretty much
Right.
just like Nathan Drake quips, and then the only person like trying to be remotely serious is like Kate and Phoenix. I feel
Right.
like they're having
Right.
like real conversations about things, and then you have Dell and um, it's just like if it was like that era where everyone had to have like a quip for everything. And it was just like
Yes.
not really
Yep.
like I mean, you can be funny, but like it's just kind of like everything is a joke. Like I don't know.
Right.
So anyways, what was it? Oh, anyways, okay, so we're revisiting Gears of War 4. We're gonna talk about that. I'm reading the book, which I'm gonna talk about that with that. Then next month for October, we're gonna do the Blair Witch game, which I am so excited to play. Um, and do that. And then following month we'll do Gears of War 5, which would be November, and then December we will do Gears Tactics. And then that will be it. Then I'll probably rank the Gears games in what I like what I like best or something. I'll have to at that point they'll be so fresh in my brain. I can put it. I still think Gears 2 is my favorite of all time.
Yeah, so far I agree. I don't expect five or tactics to change my mind. So
No, not at all. I don't think I'll go to either of those and come back and like have like. Well, I haven't actually played anything. I played Tactics like a little, like an hour. So I have.
yeah,
I
I
haven't.
played the tutorial and I realized that I'm not great at tactics games. So that's going to be a fun revisit.
Yeah, yeah. It should be good. Although I hear from people who like Tactics games that's a good one. So
I have no doubt. I don't.
yeah. Yeah, and I gotta figure out what that story is too. So it's
Yeah,
gonna be
for sure. Yeah.
it'll be fun to go through it and play it. So,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I actually am looking forward to trying it. I'm giving it an actual shot, and having to talk about it on a podcast will give me the impetus to at least put more of a, you know, an attempt at learning and playing it. Then
yeah, exactly. So cool. And then, yeah, that was that. And then we sort of talked via text, but at the beginning of the year, I think we're gonna do some Remedy stuff,
yeah.
which I'm really excited about because they're just such a great studio. And something like Quantum Break, I played a good part of it, and it didn't. I don't know if it was just like my mood or where I was at in my life, but I didn't give it a fair shake. I wouldn't say it was a bad game. It was just it seemed very cinematic and movie quality, and
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if this is what I want to be playing right now. Um, and we got the new Alan Wake. Well,
Yep.
it'll be a year old, I think, around that point, but we'll have a disc
Yeah.
of it. And doing Control, which I played a good chunk of and then stopped. And
I exactly the same.
but with that said, I didn't want to stop. I just somehow stopped. But I think we've talked about Remedy, haven't we? Did we talk about Remedy? Oh yeah, we talked about Remedy with
Yeah.
Max Payne 3.
Max Payne 3. Yeah.
Even though they didn't do that one, but we
Even that was
talked.
Rockstar, but yeah, we
Yeah,
talked about
we
Remedy.
talked about Remedy. There could be a Max Payne revival in the future, so looking forward to that. Um, and that's it. Yeah, that's what we got planned. So thank you, Mitch. You can catch Mitch on the internet, Mr. Bones. You can also listen to him on Divided by Werewolves about mostly movies and other nerdy things as well.
Mhm.
And that's all I got. Just we've got almost 1.5 downloads. Our Dante's Inferno episode is the most downloaded episode now.
Yo, like, okay.
With over 200 downloads, which is pretty good.
What?
Just on the
That's
Substack.
amazing. Yeah.
Just on the Substack app. So I don't know how else it's doing, what's doing elsewhere. I don't look at those analytics anymore because I was just driving myself crazy. So, um,
It's crazy like how like I get so many follows from on Substack and I never use Substack except just to repost your stuff. So,
yeah, well, it's cool on there. I find that I get the most, it's just best to kind of do everything in the Substack, uh,
yeah. Yeah,
subs ecosystem because it kind of just works the best there.
yeah, for me it's currently Blue Sky just because I have my Blue Sky follower to followers ratio is like it's pretty like way lower than it is on anything else.
Hmm.
So I'm finding like if I say something on Blue Sky, I get way more interaction than I do on anything else.
Yeah, because and then Twitter's weird. So,
Well, I don't even fuck. I only go to Twitter for news now, like because unfortunately you can't get like movie news and stuff like that fucking
hmm
anywhere else anymore. You have to have
hmm
Twitter still. So
Yep.
anyway, doesn't matter.
Internet. That's how we do.
Yep.
Uh, so that's it. Yeah, be back in a couple of weeks, and that I'm trying to figure out a way to end this. So I'll just say, video games.